Welcome to Consumed. I'm your host, Amy Mudley, and joining me today is one of my favorite co-hosts, Renelle Madre.
Hi, how are you, Amy?
Well, and you?
I'm
Good, thanks. Good. Our guests today are Naydene and Cornelius, that are our newlywed couple.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Renelle.
Hello, guys.
Today's podcast is all about culture and courtship. Just to give you a little context about today's session, the goal of the session is to better equip and empower our listeners to be open when pursuing relationships, open to the possibilities by the way God might direct them, and not be constrained by their cultural backgrounds or their prescribed idea of how the courtship or dating pans out. Without further ado, I have my first questions for both of you. Tell us about yourselves, a bit about your family and cultural background.
My name is Naydene Tablanche. I wasn't always a Tablanche. I was once a Pillay. So I think that speaks a bit about my cultural background. I grew up obviously in an Indian home, have two younger siblings, Jaden and Justine, and my parents, Eugene and Maureen. My background in terms of my culture, even though Indian, very, very conservative, strict parents, lots of rules to follow. I studied accounting after school, pursued my dreams, became a chartered accountant, did my articles. That's where I met my lovely husband, Cornelius. We'll speak a bit about that a bit later. It's just me in a nutshell.
My name is Cornelius. Exactly what Nadine said counts for me, just the white version of it. So also very conservative parents. I have 4 siblings, also very conservative. Did my articles, that's where I met Nadine and became a chartered accountant.
Are you also the oldest?
No,
one?
so I am the second youngest, so
The
there's
second
3 older
youngest.
than me.
And Nadine is the eldest in the
Yeah, I'm the eldest. So I had to basically lay the path for Justine and Jaden, and I hope I did a good job with that.
Looking at Jaden and Justine, I think you did.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Renelle.
So you did your articles together, and that's how you met. But work-wise, you don't work together?
So currently we do not work together. So after our articles, we did do a secondment where we worked for a further 3 months together. And then we found different corporate goals and then we pursued them. So even though we're in the same field, which is quite nice because we can have conversations and fully understand what the person is doing, it's a nice support to have, but we do not work in the same company, no.
What was it like working with each other?
So we were called the Dream Team when we worked together because
Wow.
we met our budgets and we met our deadlines because we were co-senioring on one of the biggest jobs in our firm. That audit was about a 3-month audit, and so we worked quite a bit of time with each other. We were not dating back then.
When did you start dating?
So it was only when we came back from our secondment in New York. So that was after the 3 years, and then we had already done 3 months in New York. I think it was New York that sparked the fire, because in an article environment, it's a lot of pressure. You know, there's always a deadline that you have to meet. There was not much time for anything else but work. So once that pressure was taken off, and we were in a different country, there was no audit deadlines per se, you know, we really could be free and could be each other, you know, even around each other. So I think that's really what brought the relationship closer.
So while you guys were in New York, even though you weren't dating, you would still go out.
Oh no, we were always together like 24/7. It was, even in articles, to tell you the truth, everyone saw it but us, because we were like obviously concentrating on work. And I think we also kind of knew there was something a little bit more than friendship. But we were so set on our goals and becoming a CA that we didn't let that kind of take over our mind and what we were trying to do. I mean, I always say this, and sometimes we look back on it, and the directors at our firm had a bet if we were dating or not.
Wow.
So they would always say at their manager meetings, I'm telling you, there's something between Naydene and Cornelius. Like, why are they hiding it? And to be honest, there was absolutely nothing there relationship-wise. Obviously, some other people saw that we were meant to be, even at that
we were
stage.
just very, very good friends.
This sounds like a storyline of a rom-com, doesn't it?
I know.
I'm just loving it.
So who made the first move?
I did. So we were in a car together. We were driving somewhere, I can't remember. as we were stopping at a stop street, I think, it was like a supernatural force just came in me, and I reached over to her and I asked her, can I kiss her? And she said yes, and then I kissed her. And before that, we never ever even touched each other or even spoke about anything romantic. It was just out of the blue.
Was it really out of the blue, though?
No, it was though, because like afterwards, my face was in complete shock that Cornelius had asked me, "Are you okay?" It was like kind of romantic, but also awkward because he didn't know how I was feeling, because obviously my face was in complete shock. I mean, this is your best friend for 3+ years, and then all of a sudden, at this moment, things took a twist. I said, "No, just give me a few seconds," and then the rest is history.
So how did that friendship change to romantic feelings? Like, when do you know exactly when that happened?
Probably a couple of weeks before that, I started looking at Naydene in a different way. We were in New York and we had no one to take care of us. We were just taking care of each other. So she was always preparing my meals for me. She was always making sure everything was fine after I came back from work. That's where things changed, because I was looking at her different to what a friend is. She was doing things. That's also that's also my love language, is acts of service. So I guess when she was doing all these things for me, it just flipped.
I just have to add that preparing his meals meant most of the time unboxing a takeaway meal or a microwave meal, because New York was rough. We were working crazy hours, and so I love the fact that he appreciated that even though it was a takeaway meal and I put it on a glass plate and we ate like human beings, even though we were like in always a rush, he really appreciated those small things, which was sweet.
That is so cute.
That is so cute. And for you, Naydene, when did you realize that you like Cornelius more than a friend?
To be honest, I would say I did kind of feel something for Cornelius during articles, but it was pushed aside because of, like I said, we were in a work environment. It would have been very unprofessional if I pursued a relationship with him. We were also on the same team, and we did see, like, with other couples, if you were in the same team that did date, you were separated. That audit that Cornelius and I ran together, that wouldn't have been. They would have took it away from us because we had a conflict, we had a relationship. At that point, I knew my goal. I wanted to run the biggest audit. I wanted to be on that team. So I didn't want to jeopardize anything, and I knew if it was meant to be, he would wait. That's exactly what happened after articles.
You guys are obviously in an interracial relationship. So did you get any pushback from being in a relationship with each other?
In terms of family, no, not from my side. My parents were always very supportive. They knew I was starting to like Naydene before I knew it, because I would always speak about her. And my sister knew before I even knew it as well, because I would always speak about Naydene to her. The fact that she was Indian, that didn't bother them at all. They never gave me pushback. They never gave me snarky comments or anything. From a family side, no. My siblings are also very open-minded, so they didn't care either. They were all just happy that I was happy. In terms of friends, also not any pushback, because I've got a whole mixed masala, a group of friends. I guess I was always surrounded by people who were like-minded, so I never got any pushback.
So the differences really didn't matter?
Not at all.
Because you were already in an environment that embraced everyone?
Yes, exactly. Sometimes when you walk in the malls when we came back from New York, it was an eye-opener, because in New York is they're very open-minded, and they are very mixed cultural there, so they don't really care. People are too busy with their own lives to worry about the next person. But South African context, it's obviously different, given our history and given the type of people in the areas that we live. We live in conservative areas. We don't live in like the city. We live in the suburbs where people want the best for their children, good schools, conservative communities. So when we went to the malls, it was always people looking at us funny, especially the older generation. They would always look back and look at us, and I noticed it, Naydene didn't notice it. I guess you stop noticing it after a while.
Well, after a while, you just don't care.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what makes you stop noticing it, is that you don't care. It doesn't matter to you. All that matters is that you feel at peace and that you are in the environment that you want for yourself. I would always think, one day Naydene and I will have children. What would I feel like if those people looked around and that's my child, if they judged my child? I would get very aggressive because that's my child. I would protect my child. So I was always very protective of our relationship.
Very interesting, but it's nice to also learn how you navigated that space a little bit. Especially, it's one thing to have your friends and your family just be accepting, but then walk in a mall and have people look at you funny, and people would feel some type of way about it. I know my friends in interracial relationships, they've actually had people that would go up to them and say something, and parents weren't as open. So this is a nice refreshing change of pace to hear that everything just kind of fell into place for you guys.
My parents also didn't really have an issue with Cornelius being white. I remember my dad just said, Naydene has a good head on her shoulders, so I'm sure she made a good decision. And that, that was his comment. Like I said, in the beginning, I didn't really notice the stares and the looks. But if I can just point out one incident, and I don't know if Cornelius can remember this, but we were sitting at Spa and having dinner. There was this lady across the room, and her back was facing us. But she intentionally kept turning around and staring at us. And she made it so obvious that she was angry with our relationship. She was just staring at us, for a good couple of minutes at a time, she would just look at us. At that point, we were very stable in our relationship, so we hugged more, and I said, hold me, and, we just shoved it in her face a little bit because we were confident. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're confident in yourself and your relationship, those things cannot get to you. If you're feeling nervous yourself, and if I was I don't want to hold your hand in public because people are going to look, you can't have that mindset. You need to be confident and you need to go out there bold, and then you see that it wouldn't worry you anymore.
I think I remember that incident. We had Sonali with us.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
I think the stares that we got was because we had our little mixed race baby. Because Sonali is very fair, so she probably did look like our child. And that's the point where I was referencing earlier, where I thought, if this was my child, and this woman is, she's basically attacking us with her eyes, I felt very fiercely protective of my family then. I made a mental note that I will never shy away from being around Naydene or Indian people in general, because this is my family. In any other situation, if you're in your family and you feel that people are judging you, you feel more protective towards your family. Yes. You'll do anything for them. I hugged Naydene, maybe I think I kissed her on her cheek, and I would call...
You gave them a show.
Yes, I gave
Basically.
them a
It
show.
took over the power, because when you allow the external people to influence how you behave in public, you're ashamed or embarrassed of being with someone, give them the power of your relationship. And I like what you said, you need to be confident and bold, and you know that, you're happy in this relationship and you move on. So both of you, your religious views and religious background are the same.
It's exactly the same in terms of we're both Christian, love God, and we seek Him in all things that we do. The only difference is Naydene was how my church would say they are happy clappies. They are very joyful Christians, and I'm from a very conservative church. Yeah, so that's the only difference in terms of our religion. My father and sister and my mother are still in that conservative church. I'm obviously in Belief Community, which is almost like a happy, clappy church. But I've embraced that because I do like it. You feel a little bit different when you walk out. Mm-hmm. You feel like you've worked for your religion as opposed to sitting and singing and being very low-key.
I know, for me it was also an eye-opener to different types of church, because we do hear about them, but coming straight from Cornelius, because when I took him to Grace, he was like, you guys sing loud and stuff. I was like, why? What do you guys do? And he's like, no, we just sing hymns. No one claps. It's one lady with the piano.
Yeah, it's one lady with the piano. All the ladies wear hats. The gents wear their suit and ties.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I went to a
so
church
it's
where you can...
how you see it in the movies,
yes,
with those big hats and those...
And I can go to church with a short pants and slops. So
yeah, it was very frowned about in the beginning. Your dad would say, did you just come from church? And you would be wearing flops and shorts, and then we had to explain to him, no, that's how people like dress at our church, it's very casual. But I must say that we're talking about religion and our background. Cornelius and I both had the same kind of foundation in terms of, and I'm sure Janelle and Amy can also vouch for this. We went to Sunday school where it was memorize your verses like 60 and you could recite them in the front of the church. So I think we both had a very good Christian foundation in terms of our Sunday school and our youth and getting baptized, and Cornelius got confirmed. Yeah, we both had very good Christian foundations.
Yeah, so Sunday school for me was from grade 1 to grade 12. You have Sunday school from grade 1 to grade 12.
Okay.
And then you write exams at the end of each year. And then only then do you progress to the next grade if you pass all your exams.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to two schools.
2 schools, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now do you guys like have a prayer routine? Do you pray together?
So it's a bit difficult now. Sometimes work does overwhelm us because Naydene works maybe 12-hour days and I work maybe like 8-hour days. So I have a little bit more flexibility than Naydene. But so we do make time with each other to pray at night. But our Bible time, that's I think a little bit separate. So I do mine in the mornings. Naydene does hers in the mornings, but I wake up much earlier than Naydene. So we don't really have time to do Bible studies together, but we do pray together at night.
But during our articles, like I think within the first year of knowing each other, we were already doing Bible plans together. That was like really special in our relationship as friendship, like our friendship phase. We would call each other at like maybe 9, 10 o'clock in the night, both pick up our Bible plans on our phone, and we'll read to each other, and then, we'll pray. So that happened already at that stage.
Wow. Wow.
So you laid the foundation at that point, and you didn't even know that you guys liked each other.
Yeah, no, because we loved God so much, I think, that it just came naturally that we wanted to do it as friends as well.
That's like God really preparing you guys for your marriage.
And I think what was good as well was we did plans for the seasons that we were in. So, for example, if I felt a bit away from God because I was on audit, then we would do a plan around that. If Con was feeling a bit anxious about an audit that he was going into, then we would read a plan about being anxious. So that's how we stood together and supported each other even at that time of our lives.
Carried each other through.
So this actually just leads into the next question that I have for them. In your early years, before you thought about getting into a serious relationship, what were your views on relationship, courtship, and dating? Is there a difference between dating and courtship in your view?
I always thought the two were used interchangeably. I didn't know there was a difference. Maybe because I'm not English, I think maybe I'm just referring to it from what I see on the TV. For me, in the early days, like Naydene said, there was nothing in terms of relationship with each other during our articles, because the one thing that my parents always told me was, you'll get your degree, you'll finish school, you'll get your degree, you'll get your job, you be stable, and then you look at going into a relationship. That's why we started dating also at a very older age, I think when we were 28, because I wanted to lay that foundation, and also I was mindful that my parents were paying for my varsity. What makes our relationship so successful is there was friendship, and it was always just going to be friendship in my mind, because I knew that I had all this other external forces that I was trying to follow, like my parents. And then that built the foundation for a very healthy relationship now. I guess the courtship started when we were just being friends, because we were preparing for dating.
Yeah.
Now that I think retrospectively, maybe courtship is a little bit more important than dating, because that's where you lay the foundation, that's where you determine the rules, and that's where you prepare yourself for dating and the intimacy and the feelings.
Getting into a romantic relationship. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Cornelius really opened up my mind with his answer. But for me, I thought, courtship was kind of like an olden day term that people use. Your granny would use the word they are courting, but like the younger generation say dating, and I think they're the same. But I think because even in dating, you would need to have some kind of rules and foundation, and you
Boundaries.
can't just go into it. So I would think it's the same thing, just maybe used by different people. But yeah, I think with Cornelius, what he said, my parents were also very strict, especially my mom. She wanted me to get my degree to qualify before I could think about, dating. And that was always in the back of my mind. And like Cornelius said as well, it's very expensive to send your child to do this route. Mm-hmm. So you also don't want to mess around and, do anything other than that for that period. So, yeah.
I do remember we had you previously on our podcast, and you did say that there was a time where you said a prayer for your husband.
Yes, so I think I called in. Called in when you guys, and I was already saying this prayer, I think, before I even started articles, and it was a prayer for your future husband, just saying that he must also have, follow God, and, he must be like a certain character. And yeah, I still have the link on my phone. I obviously don't pray it now because I don't want another one. But I did have that prayer, and I said it quite often, and I'm glad I did, because God really gave me what I wanted. If I didn't pray exactly what I wanted, I don't think maybe I would have got it.
Mm-hmm. I love that you allowed God to take control of your relationship, and you didn't try to control it yourself. I think that's like a huge point that our listeners should actually latch onto.
Is it very different from the way the world works today? Mm-hmm. If I look at past relationships, and I look at you want to be in control, you want to make sure that you know what's going on and how things are buying, all of that. You just don't. I think leaving it to God is a very difficult thing. A very difficult thing to do in a lot of aspects of a person's life, but especially in a relationship, especially now with social media being the way it is, and anyone having the ability to just log on and chat to multiple people at the same time. I mean, I'm sure we all see the screenshots where the same message goes to 20 different people. Good night, babes. So yeah, this is very nice, very refreshing. Lots of stuff to think about. I think, especially with me with your prayers, Naydene, and how you guys actually prayed together as friends, and how all of that laid the foundation, and everything was set up so nicely for your relationship, for your marriage.
And did you also, when they were speaking, they never did anything to gain something back?
I was just about to say that. We never knew where it was going to lead. We were just being good friends to each other, and we were just being... And part of being a good friend is keeping each other honest and keeping each other rooted in Christianity, and making sure that at our age, when we were studying and things were going bad and you were stressing, we didn't have anything else to offer but our scripture and prayers, because that's the only thing that you really have in that situation. So we didn't even know the path where we were going. And also, when we started our relationship, when I asked Naydene, can I kiss her, that wasn't even something. I still to this day believe that I wasn't in control in that situation. So I guess God just pushed me into it.
Yeah, it's you're wasting time now. I'm getting tired.
No, so
I have other people to see to.
There were times when Naydene had other guys coming around. Also from Grace Church, I remember that she would talk to her friend about it, and then I always felt a little bit jealous. It was God telling me, listen, make the move now or you're going to lose her forever. Yeah. Because after we came home, we might have just drifted apart a little bit, because we were going to go into the big person world. We were going to get steady jobs, and especially we see that all our friends who's our age, we don't make so much time for each other anymore because we're so busy and we have responsibility. And I guess that would have happened with us as well. So I made the move in New York. We came back and we pursued our relationship.
Sweet.
I love that.
I know. He's using the right words. I pursued the relationship, made my move.
Intentions were clear.
Intentions were clear.
Were there any times, Naydene, that you got jealous of any girls that couldn't?
Oh, all the time. I even still I'm we're not a jealous couple, and We do have arguments, especially about the climate, because I like really warm room and Corn likes a room like really cold. But we don't really we've never had a big fight where we've never not spoken to each other for more than an hour. So I always tell him like, I keep waiting for that big fight because, every couple is bound to have it, and we've not had this big fight. So now just to like pick on him and to like cause like a little playful fight, I'll bring up a girl's name that I knew that he used to talk to like back in the day, and I'll be like, oh, it's because of this person or that person. So it's just a little joke that we have.
How does he react when you do that?
I'll pick back.
So I think, and I was also, I would think in articles as well, like he had a best friend that worked with him. She was very close to him. Like they were best friends before articles. So they came into the firm as best friends.
We went through studies together, which was also a hard time. And that's how we became friends. But Josh, there was never anything romantic there either.
Just a friend.
We got it in recording, right? So
Yes.
We must take some stuff out.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. So he came in with a best friend. How did you feel? How did you fit into that equation? Did you feel like you were taking someone else's spot? How did your friend react to it? I mean, was there like any...
No, we were always just friends.
That's great.
And there was never anything romantic there. And I don't think Naydene took her place, because there was no place like Nadine's place now back then. I think Nadine's place was created after that.
If I have like a sound effect that says, oh,
We can say it.
Yeah, I think, I'm also a very friendly person generally. So, I mean, I would join them for lunch. We would do movies together, just the three of us. So, we did make it quite inclusive with her as well. And they made me feel included in their group as well. So, I think the three of us just ended up becoming friends.
I like what Cornelius said, is the relationship he had with you is different to what he had with her, which is quite, I think that was like the early stages already. You already knew that she was going to be an important part of your life.
But I guess I did stop being so close to her when Naydene came around, because Naydene was taking all my time.
I was a very aggressive friend, so I would be like, on the weekend we must do stuff and, try and at least meet. And after work, we worked opposite Gateway. So, I mean, to grab like dinner and stuff was quite easy. And Cornelius would always like want to run home after work. Like he was that person. I
lived so far from home, from work.
But still, and he was also like, he was a bit socially awkward in the beginning. So like I would force him and be like, you have to come to dinner with us and you have to do this. And so I think I was a bit more aggressive with it.
Would Cornelius come home and have dinner with you?
Never.
No. So he...
I only met her mother just before we went to New York.
My mom he met. And I think you picked up a jacket from home where you met my dad. But you didn't meet...
just before New York.
Yeah, but you met Justine and Jaden.
Just before New York as well.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Like I really can't remember the timeline. So I would invite him for like birthday dinners and stuff, because if anyone knows me, I'm at home eating crab on my birthday. So I would invite my friends over for dinner. I would invite Cornelius, but he would deny my request numerous times.
Because I was shy.
Yeah, he was very shy. And like I said, he was socially awkward in the beginning. So he didn't want to be in an uncomfortable environment, which I understood at the time. So I didn't take offense to it. I always extended the invitation to him to make him feel included. But I knew that the answer would probably be no.
Did you invite her home?
No.
When did you guys like officially meet each other's parents and introduce each other as a significant potential boyfriend, girlfriend?
I only introduced Naydene as my friend after I started dating her. She only met my parents after I started dating her.
Yeah, I think I met his mom for coffee. We went to Mark and Bean. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember what I was wearing. I'm meeting his mom. It's a big deal.
Please have a picture.
Yeah, so I was wearing a blue jumpsuit. I did my hair quite nice. My makeup was done. I wore high heels. So it was like the full deal. Yeah, we talked. She was really friendly. Quite surprised because she like literally just welcomed me with like two open hands. And I thought like, Cornelius' parents, obviously he's Afrikaans, but his parents mostly speak Afrikaans. For them to converse with me in English, even now, it's a bit difficult for them, but they do it because obviously I need to understand. And I do understand when they speak. I reply in English because I always feel like my Afrikaans is a bit bad. And in speaking in front of Afrikaans people, it's going to sound even worse. So she was like really trying to make conversation with me, and she kept it going. Yeah, and she ordered a chicken and mayo sandwich. See, I do remember all the details. So, and then I think I met your dad.
On his birthday.
We took them out for dinner. I baked him a cake, a coconut cake, I remember.
Oh,
That's when
that
I
would
met
have sealed
the deal, yes. And when did you meet like my parents in a formal... You were coming home at that point after you first
Yes.
met my parents.
Your mother came to New York.
Yes, but then when we came
She
back...
cooked for us and everything, and that's where I got to know her mother and her
Oh, yes.
sister. Came home all the time because we were looking for jobs, and we would look for jobs together.
Yes.
So I came home all the time, and then that's why I met your parents. Because when I went to the parents' house, then there's always going to be food. So
Yes.
I'd always stay the whole day so I can eat at night.
So then, at what point did you officially say, you know what, Cornelius is my boyfriend? What?
No, so we never had that. So we got back from New York. My mother said she needs to talk to me. I knew what she wanted to talk to me about because I know my mother. So before she can even say anything, it was in the lounge, I remember. She said, I just want to talk to you later. And I was like, no, we can talk now. But before you say anything, Cornelius and I are going to start dating. And she said, I was going to talk to you about Cornelius. From the first day, I told my parents what's happening with us and our relationship, because I also wanted them to support it in prayer. And, you know, my mom prays a lot, and I knew that she would pray for our relationship right from the start. I mean, there is pros and cons to waiting. Like, you want to see if it's going to work out before you introduce someone to your family.
Yes.
You know, you have all of that anxiety. But there's pros in the sense that your family can support and pray. If it's meant to be, it would be.
Yes.
And your parents always want the best for you. If anyone's listening that's quite younger, be open with your parents. Lay down the cards in the beginning, because they're only there to support you and they only want what's best for you.
I feel
Beautiful.
personally attacked because that's not something that I would ever do. I told my mom that if when I'm gonna get married, that's when I'll bring the boy home and introduce.
Oh goodness, now that's at the end.
Good luck,
That's
Renal.
at the end. That's at the end. Yeah. So you know, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that. I know my friends certainly do. But I like where you're coming from, like having your parents give their blessing and praying over the relationship. So, you know, because I have that in me, you know, like you wonder, is it going to work out? Is it worth it for them to get attached to your family?
Yes.
But if you have your family praying for the relationship and with you on this journey, it's not going to matter as much. You would always find a way to kind of like work things out and make sure that there's a connection and, you know, supporting each other through everything. Yeah, that's a different way to do. I think I still need some work. I'm definitely not going to bring anybody.
I'll talk to you
home
after the podcast.
Yeah. We all are newlyweds. I think it was last year, right?
Last year.
6 months ago.
6 months ago.
Wow. Tell us how it all came about. How did the planning of the wedding, how did both your families come together?
So my parents, it was their first wedding in the family, so big deal. Especially because I'm Indian, so you know we have like lots of people attend the wedding. So when Cornelius and I first spoke about the wedding, he said he wants small, and in general, white people do have small weddings. Like 100 people for them is considered a big wedding.
Yes.
So, and he could comfortably find like closest 50 family members that, you know, he would want to invite. I think about 50 people, and that won't even cover my mom's side of the family. So I was like freaking out. And then we did, I think that for the wedding, the discussion most was around the guest list. Because we were trying to find compromise with my parents, his parents, trying to find the number that would work for us all. Like I wanted to keep my mom and dad happy that they could invite all of their loved ones, but also not make Cornelius' family feel overwhelmed with the number of people. So, you know, it was hard to find that gap. But I think in the end, COVID won because, you know, we got married in the third wave where we could only have 50 people for an indoor event and then 100 for an outdoor event. So we ended up putting a marquee outside so we could accommodate like more people. So it ended ended up being a relatively small wedding. Cornelius still says it was a big wedding. There was only 90 people there. So my parents were very heavily involved in the wedding. Like I said, first wedding in the family. Whereas Cornelius' mom, she was very laid back. This is her third rodeo. She was like, do what you want. I tried to involve her as much because I knew she loved flowers. So I got her involved with the flowers of the wedding, where I would show her, what I'm thinking of. These are the colors. But she was very chilled. She said, go and do what you want to do, Naydene. I'll be there.
How did you feel, Cornelius, during the whole time?
Yeah, so Naydene included me in everything. And I was happy to be we went to the venues, we looked at the flowers together, the setup of the table. It was very easy for me to choose, like Naydene said, who I wanted at the wedding. And I think I concluded my guest list right at the beginning, and it barely changed towards the end. Naydene had variations of her guest list. I was just making sure that Naydene is happy, she gets what she wants, and I just did everything to make her happy.
We did embrace both cultures to an extent. Like Cornelius did shava at the wedding.
Oh, wow.
And he smashed it out of the park. It was amazing that we did a little Indian dance in there. Our foundation for the wedding was Christianity. We both are Christians, so that was the theme of the wedding. It wasn't like an Afrikaans wedding or an Indian wedding. It was a Christian wedding. And most Christian weddings look alike.
Yeah.
We tried to bring in different cultures. Like I told the DJ, my future husband is Afrikaans, so make sure you play Afrikaans music, when people are dancing, so there's a mix.
Yes.
If you're going to throw Desi Girl in there, make sure you throw in, what's that song that I like, Cornelius? Captain. Yes. In there.
I know that song.
So, make sure there's a mix of music, and so we did try to keep both ends happy.
I like how you were very intentional in getting the family involved in the day. And I think by doing that, created a good environment around your wedding. And how did the wedding day go?
The best day ever. I think it was the best day of my life.
The pictures were beautiful.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah. The weather was perfect. And I must say though, I did tell Cornelius that Pastor Ivan is going to be our minister.
And I didn't object.
That's awesome.
So taking it a step back, how did you propose? I don't think we've ever heard the story, and I want to know.
So how I proposed was, we started, I think maybe towards the end of 2019. That was maybe 7 months, 8 months after starting dating. We started speaking about getting married, because we were older and we knew what we wanted, and we already knew each other for 4 or 5 years by then. So we knew we were going to get married, and we intentionally went into the relationship knowing that we were going to end up getting married. So we started talking about the wedding towards the end of 2019. We looked for rings, couldn't find anything, so we designed one. Naydene chose her own diamond, the cut, the clarity, the shape. She designed her ring, I got it made for her. Then maybe a week before the president announced the first lockdown, the lady said that the ring is almost ready. She wants to make arrangements to get it sent down from Pretoria. I think 2 days before the lockdown, she said, okay, she's going to send it. Did get the ring in time. So once we had the ring, we went into the hard lockdown. The ring was kept at Naydene's mother's house. That was in March, because that's when the lockdown was announced. 3 weeks after the lockdown. So I was living at Naydene's house, her parents' house, for the lockdown, because you were not able to travel. And Naydene them have a lot of bedrooms, so I had my own bedroom. And the one day I was thinking to myself, why prolong this? Maybe I should just ask her during the lockdown. That morning I woke up, I think it was on her birthday. And that's 25th of April.
You always forgot my birthday.
And I went to her mother's bedroom and I said, I'm going to ask her today to get married. And her mother was a bit confused because I never really asked yet, even though she had the ring. And then I said, can I get married to her? And her mother said yes. And then this whole thing, I forgot to ask her dad. Until now, I never asked her father if I can get married to her.
He bypassed the dad.
Well, the mother said yes, then it's going to be a yes. I went to Woolies. I got stuff for a picnic. She thought I'm having a picnic for her birthday. I went to go buy it. After I got back, I went for a shower. And as I was having a shower, Naydene started packing out the picnic. She started packing out the picnic for her own proposal.
I didn't know.
She didn't know. And then I went to set it up by the pool area, underneath the trees. And then I said, okay, I want to read you your birthday card. And I started reading her birthday card, and towards the end, I asked her, will she marry me? And I pulled out the ring, and she was very shocked. So I think that was the intention, for her to not know when it's coming. And yeah, so she said, obviously, she said yes.
How did you feel at that moment?
I started crying because I started crying as he was reading my birthday card, because Con's really good with words. Like, even though he says he's not, like, he can articulate something really well. So he started reading out the card, and the tears were just like rolling down my eyes. And then I see he reached for his back pocket, and he takes out this ring. So at that moment, I was already in tears, and I was surprised because I did not expect him to do it on my birthday. My nails were not done. It was lockdown. You picture your proposal to be like this magical, freshly manicured nails, so you can take out this nice picture with your ring. Yeah. But mine was so much in the moment of what life is truly. Half the time your nails are not done. Yeah. Your hair is not perfect. We were in lockdown. Everyone was stressed about COVID. It worked out perfectly because it was so true to life itself, and I don't think I would have wanted it any other way.
For me, it was more like, I don't know when lockdown's going to end. We might end up getting married during lockdown, because everything was up in the air, COVID. You didn't know, like, everyone is so scared on the edge. So I said, let's just get engaged now. I know that we'll have a long engagement because of the lockdown. We can't get married in lockdown. That's what prompted me, and I didn't know what I was waiting for, delaying it any further. So I just decided that day.
Amazing.
Lovely. You knew you went for it.
Is there any advice that you'd like to give any of our listeners that are pursuing a relationship, whether it's cross-cultural or just like thinking, I'm alone, I need to be with someone?
Being friends first really sets the tone. Pursue a friendship. If it leads to anything, then you have the person that you know each other very well, and it will set a good foundation for the relationship. If it doesn't end up being anything, you still have a friend. I think why a lot of relationships fail is people have this idea of what it should be. People have an idea of what it should feel like. Those type of feelings, they're very fleeting. They don't last. But friendships last, and if you have a relationship based on a friendship, you're almost guaranteed that it's going to last. You know that angsty feeling that people get when they have when they like someone, they ask them to be their girlfriend.
Butterflies in the tummy thing.
Those type of things, they go away, because if you don't have anything in common, then what's going to bind you? You must always like something before you pursue it, because then you know it's going to last.
Yeah, I think for me too, as well, like, just reiterate, the friendship thing is really important. I think if someone is like in a different culture or a different race group, be bold, be confident. If you believe your relationship is going to work, speak to your parents. If your parents are happy about it, or even if they're not, have the difficult conversation. This is why I like this person. This is why he fits into my life. You grew me up. I'm trying to make the best decision. Be bold, be confident. Very, very important. Make God the center of your relationship from the beginning. You do not have to be the super holy in terms of, every week going to church with a suit on and a Bible in your hand. God is modern. The same God that was back in the day, He's the same God now with a twist. We have Bible plans. Have a conversation with God. Like, my prayer, it may seem silly to a lot of people at the time, but right now, when I look back at it, my prayer helped me because I'm happy now. Yeah. I'm content. Cornelius always asks me in the night sometimes, are you happy? Are you happy with me? And I said, you tell me if you are happy with me. He says, I'm happy, but like, I'm content happy. It's like I can't get any happier. And,
that's amazing.
And I think if God wasn't there, we wouldn't have had that relationship. So God, friendship, bold, confidence is what I can say to people out there.
Okay, just one last question before you guys go. What does the future hold for you two?
I guess a lot of traveling.
Yes.
I love game
And not
reserve.
India, Pastor Ivan.
I love game reserves, so I would say a lot of traveling to game reserves. But Naydene loves international stuff, so I guess a lot of European holidays. And then eventually, maybe a baby.
A little Naydene or a little Corn.
Yeah.
It's funny because we already named our son, but it's in the future. His name is going to be Thomas.
Oh.
Tuamas.
Oh, exactly. So I'm learning the Afrikaans pronunciation. It's
Okay.
Thomas.
Okay.
Tuamas.
Thomas.
You need to learn that
I know.
quickly because it would be really bad if you...
Imagine if I'm picking up my kid from creche or something, I have to first think about the pronunciation of his name before I call it out.
Today's conversation is so amazing, and I really loved all that you had to say. And we have some practical steps listening to Naydene and Cornelius' journey. Here are 3 or 4 practical steps. If you are pursuing a relationship that's cross-cultural, meet and talk to people like Naydene and Cornelius who are already in this kind of relationship. Have conversations with your parents around this topic before you get into any kind of relationship. Be open with your parents if you are already in a relationship with someone from a different culture or race group. Be bold and be confident. The last and the best of all, make God the center of your relationship. Thank you so much, Naydene and Cornelius and Ronelle. This was an awesome episode.
Thanks, Ronelle. Thanks, Amy, for having us.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
It was wonderful to talk to you.